Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Tuesday, July 4th, 2017 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I nurture my independent expansion by bringing forth my evolution. And today, happy Independence Day, I almost called it Happy Evolution Revolution Day. It is actually technically the second part of today, Evolution Revolution Day, but happy Independence Day and Evolution Revolution Day. And that's kind of the theme actually of the energy today. Now, we have a lot of transits going on. We actually have Venus shifting into Gemini later in the afternoon, evening. That's actually happening at 5:11 p.m. Pacific time. But that means we're going to have Venus at 29 degrees in Taurus the whole day. So Venus, 29 degrees Taurus, is a major worth lesson. And I got a really strong message coming up about that. And the message was not to build your worth upon comparison, not to compare who you are with somebody else. So often we will base our worth on, oh, I'm better than that person, or I'm not like that person's better than me, or we can even build ourselves up by putting others down. And so this was a really strong message from the universe. Don't do that. Be independent in your worth, not comparative. Get beyond the illusion of any comparison when it comes to another. There's actually a really strong independent streak going through this astrological energy today. So I'm going to get into Venus going into Gemini a little bit later, but first I want to touch on some of the other energies that are coming up today. Now, I touched on the fact that it's Evolution Revolution Day. This is not all day. We actually begin the day with the sun at 12 degrees. 12 degree energy is that energy of expansion. So you saw that independent expansion. And then we move into 13 degrees, which is that revolution, evolution energy. Revolution, evolution energy is Uranus energy. It is intended to liberate you. It is intended to free you. Sometimes it triggers. Sometimes it's that breakdown, breakthrough energy. Now, you may get some of that breakdown through some of this worth stuff coming up, especially if you do not feel worthy. But however, this is not your demise. This is a rebirth energy. This is helping you realize and recognize those places where you may be holding on to this low worth or worth based on comparison. So please, please note that. We also have some other interesting connections going on. Some are very challenging, and some are very supportive of this energy. So one of the more challenging energies is we have Mercury. Mercury actually finishing up in Cancer. Mercury will be moving into Leo this week. Mercury finishing up in Cancer is going to square Uranus. So square is like there's resistance. So there's resistance in these two very mental electric energies. Mercury in Cancer may get a little bit fixed and stuck on what it's thinking. Uranus in Aries is liberating us so we can fully get into our I am vibration. So it's going to be the friction, the friction between the resistance between who you are, who you really are, and who you've been comfortable being. Where you've been in those comfortable places where it's not comfortable, but because you know it, it's comfortable. And the universe is like, get beyond the illusion. This is not comfort. This is not who you are. This is not where you want to be. Ride the tiger. Ride the tiger on out of that energy. Let go of that. So we have this square energy. Now this square is happening at 27 degrees. That 27 degrees is that energy of 9. That's finishing, completion. It is also passion and motivation that's driving you. But with this square, you may feel some outbursts coming up. You may, like any of that repressed energy, could outburst like a volcano because it's not comfortable and you are like the earth. And so you might be like, release. And I'm sorry, I'm going to plug in my computer because I meant to do that beforehand and it's not plugged in and it's giving me like, I'm not going to last long messages. Okay. So now that we have that done, next, one of the other things that will be actually an interesting communication thing going on is we have the moon shifting later into Sagittarius. We also have Venus shifting into Gemini. So Sagittarius, Gemini can be very glib. I'm a Sagittarius Gemini. So that connection, along with that Mercury-Uranus connection, you may find things coming up, just coming up. Tend to your volcanoes. notice what's going on in your thoughts and communication, and really, beyond anything, just make sure that you're not communicating, responding from that comparison place. Be very independent and of yourself in and through your work today, your personal work. I do think that's going to be very helpful as we move through these energies. And you do not have to compare yourself. That is an illusion. Really, please be true to yourself. Look at these wild cats. We have good cat energy to teach us and show us and remind us of that independence. And I looked up the definition of independence, and it was, or to be independent, and it's not to be controlled by anything or anyone else. And so as long as we're in that space of comparison, we're being controlled by these outside things. And so this is a real opportunity to ground in and shift yourself via not comparing yourself to anybody else. It's a beautiful opportunity. Besides this, before we get into Venus, into Gemini, we also have an inconjunct between Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter also playing into this worth work that we've been doing. Jupiter has been helping us expand into our worth, to get beyond the illusions, to know ourselves. So inconjunct is also an uncomfortable connection. We're not really seeing eye to eye. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces. Neptune retrograde in Pisces is bringing up a lot of old stuff. So whether it's this life, past life, even ancestral stuff, and you may find some of the comparison there. I know from my life, some of the hard things that have been for me to overcome when it comes to my worth has been the comparison my family has made to me, to them, because I am the rainbow sheep of the family. I definitely march to my own drum, and I always have, and I really don't know how not to. I really don't. But sometimes that comparison still can hurt me and make me think less of myself. And so it may be through some of this stuff coming up that we tune into this and have this opportunity, again, to find that independence, to know who we are, to nurture ourselves through any of that that may be coming up. Also supporting this, we have the moon finishing up in Scorpio. I know I'm all over the place right now with this, but so much is going on in this energy. We have the moon in Scorpio working with those Cancer energies. They're working with Mars and working with Mercury in Cancer. So our intuition is on peak. Intuition is on point. We're getting a lot of messages, but a lot of stuff may be coming up. The feelings may be coming up. We're building into this full moon. This full moon that is happening on Saturday, Sunday, depending where you live, is really dedicated to us stepping into a next level of our power. And one of those big lessons to step into this next level of power is getting out of the comparison, getting out of that illusion of comparison. Pushing aside what is the thing? What is the word? Pushing aside, this is very interesting, the connection to anybody else in regards to yourself and really knowing yourself on that independent level. This then comes, but that comes when you're whole. I love my painting. I'm going to give you a painting illustration. The joining of two equals, which comes when one whole meets another whole. And so that's why we're putting aside that energy just to really come into ourselves, this independent expansion. It's very interesting, Astro, like I said. Okay, so lots going on. Let's get into Venus. Venus shifting into Gemini. So this shift into Gemini, it's actually going to be a very fast transit through Gemini. It's going to be 3 weeks long. It's actually going to be moving out right at the end of July. So we've had really fast, besides the sun in Gemini, but the other transits through Gemini have been like, move it on out, get this information, get it going. Venus represents our worth. It represents pleasure. It represents relationships. It represents self-love. And right now, like I said, with Jupiter being in Libra, we do have this strong self-love focus going on, self-love expansion going on. Venus in Gemini is going to be definitely continuing that self-love expansion. But funny enough, because I just said this is not in relationship or connection to everybody else, Venus in Gemini all is about the connection. It's about communication, connection, having fun. Venus in Gemini can be very flirtatious. So This is why it's like, get in this, get grounded in your worth now, so that you're not being influenced so much by these connections, that you can remember who you are, that you don't have to twin the things. And it's funny because we totally have, people mirroring twinning. And as a Gemini, I'm a Gemini rising, and I have to say, twinning is definitely a thing that happens. Like, all my Gemini rising people, I'm like, oh, we twin that. Like, it's definitely a Gemini situation. But at the same time, know thyself. Be one unto thyself. Twin thyself, be in and of yourself with this. Other than that, have fun making the connections, communicating. One of the things that came up with this is notice how you're communicating your worth. Again, this could even feed into that message of no comparison. Sometimes we communicate our worth by being like, well, this person does that, but I don't do that. No need for that. You can communicate your worth without getting into the comparison. It's such a strong message coming from Spirit right now. And I really do think it feeds into Independence Day and how we can reclaim the spirit of independence in and through ourselves, and then bring it ideally to our countries, whatever country that you're in. We find this by being true to ourselves, by honoring our own individual color in the spectrum and showing up in that manner. So we have this opportunity. We don't need to twin. We do not need to compare. We can connect. We do connect to all. Everything is interwoven and interconnected. But just the same, be strong in your own foundational energy. It's really going to be important. I also advise you check out our GPS for this week. I did GPS with Maya, my friend Maya, and she had some great messages for Venus moving into Gemini. And I remember something about synchronicities and people coming into your life, so go check that out. I think you'll really enjoy that. All right, so Venus into Gemini, fast transit, fast, flirtatious. Notice the connections, notice the synchronicities. Notice how you're communicating your worth. I think that's a very important part of this. How are you communicating your worth? You do not have to put anybody else down to raise yourself up. All right, so moving on, we have the moon shifting into Sagittarius in the evening. And this, by the way, is my second time recording this because the first time didn't end up working. So I may be repeating messages because I don't know how many times I've said these things. So Moon moving into Sagittarius in the evening. I actually think the moon into Sagittarius is going to be very supportive for us as we move into this full moon energy. The moon in Sagittarius is going to bring us a level of optimism. And as we are going to be working with Pluto in this full moon, we definitely need to tune into the optimism. We have to tune into the expansive nature of Sagittarius. So the first connection is actually going to be the moon in Sagittarius opposite Venus newly in Gemini. Take this from that expansive perspective, not the comparative perspective. Expand. Both the moon in Sagittarius and Venus in Gemini are very curious. So this is going to bring forth our curiosity for the next couple days. Get really curious about what's going on. One of the things that may be a little curiosity bringing up within ourselves is tomorrow, early tomorrow morning, we have Mercury trine Chiron. Chiron in Pisces, now retrograde. So this may come up while we're sleeping. Things, messages, stuff Chiron still wants us to know. We've been having all of these Chiron connections come up. Things that Chiron wants us to know, wants us to process, wants us to move through so we can get to this success energy, so we can get beyond the illusion, so we can rebirth ourselves and get rid of the grumpy camel energy that we're still hanging on to, so we can let go of that which is coming up to be let go of. We're going to have that connection. So get curious about it. What are you telling me, universe? What does this dream mean? What do these messages mean? What are these synchronicities meaning? Utilize this energy to get divinely curious. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, because this is one of the places I'm like, did I say this before or not? We begin the day 12 degrees and then move to 13 degrees. 12 degrees is that expansion. 13 degrees is that evolution, revolution. Funny enough, Independence Day in the States always falls right there with evolution, revolution energy. Is that a surprise? This is the call to come into your independence, to build your personal center, to get strong in and of yourself. To be independent is to not be under control from anything else. And in truly we're not. Truly it is like you are you. You are the soul. Can you embrace that energy? So from the yantra cards, I have two great cards that came out. Square, stability. Create a good foundation for yourself and your projects. And from there, your creativity can pour forth. The other one is truth. Listen to your truth. It is the easiest and most inspiring one to live by. So these to me both speak of the independent energy, coming into yourself, coming into your center. There's definitely going to be a lot of energy going on and around. There's going to be probably a lot of opportunities to be influenced by other people's vibrational energies. With the strong water energy, you definitely may be influenced by the vibrations, but remember who you are and keep coming back to that initial energy. Nurture your independent expansion and to bring forth your personal evolution, because that's what it's about, and that's where the change in the world happens. As you change, the world changes. Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot for this day. Anyways, again, happy Independence Day. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day growing yourself. Check out our GPS. I'm really excited to have done it with Maya. It's temporary while Nikki is with baby Leela, but I think you'll really enjoy Maya's energy. I'm really excited for everybody to get to know her. And you can always book a reading at GaiaBlooming.com. My sale is now over, but I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.